Blake, excited to have you down here.
It's good to be here. This has kind of been a long walk. And, you know, a couple of years ago we started this.
Yeah.
It's good to finally get down here at the right time of year to see kind of where everything starts in the year, and you've been doing it for a while. It's going to be fun. It's a great place.
I know with COVID and everything, we haven't had the chance to get you down here, but you know, since this relationship started 3 or 4 years ago, just talking about some of the successes we've had here over the years, some of my biggest deer have been since we started using Monster Mill, and that's no lie. So, you know, excited to kind of pick your brain, show you around the farm, and go put out some feed.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how the relationships evolve. We started off with kind of a commercial. We were exploring a commercial relationship totally unrelated to Monster Mill. A couple years later, after seeing what you were doing down here and talking to your dad and you about what you really want to create, it's kind of it makes sense. It's what we do. So
yeah, well, I'm excited. Let's go get started. I think Dad's going to join us here in just a little bit. So
excellent.
Look forward to seeing him.
So where's the first place we're going to go?
We're going to go to a place called Harvick Hill. Call it that because one of our NASCAR guys, Kevin Harvick, we've been with Kevin since 2001. He shot a couple of turkeys up there. So he got a hill named after him.
It only takes 2 turkeys to get a hill named after you on Realtree Farms.
That's
pretty
right.
Good. It's
Roger, I've never deer hunted up here, but there's a lot of deer in this field as well. Roger, who's with us, I think Roger's right behind us. He's killed a couple of really nice deer here as well, but it's a good spot.
It's probably hard to tell, but this looks kind of like a video I saw you playing a prank on your dad about a poacher on the farm.
Yeah, we're close to where that is. Same woods, just a little bit over that way, and the guy filming right here behind us, he was a big part of that prank.
No, I was not a part of it at all. We don't talk about, please don't bring that up in front of me.
If there's no evidence, I'm exonerated. Yeah. That's one of the things, being blessed to work with a hunting related brand, it's kind of a dream, because I don't think anybody in my age sector ever thought, I'm going to go make my living in the hunting industry. Your father was in that generation that really, as media expanded and you could talk about things, really kind of started to build things, and you know, roots respond out of that. So it's kind of fun to be working with an iconic brand.
You know, several of these feeders we filled up yesterday. Obviously, we got our trough out here with Monster Mill, so we're not going to have to fill up this one, but just kind of wanted to show you this is one of the first fills right behind, you know, some of our lodges and stuff. So this is kind of what we got going on here. But Colton hunted here several times last year. Roger's taken a couple of nice bucks in here, but this is a great spot. You know, we've clear cut a bunch of this timber in here as well, but it's got a lot of turkeys and deer right here. So
it's a pretty spot. Now, I notice you have trough style feeders, and I'm a huge proponent of trough style feeders. Deer accept them much easier than they do the kind of mechanical devices that we work.
They do.
They don't work for everybody everywhere, but if you're starting a protein program, a simple feeder, I mean, not even a commercial, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get good results. And I kind of like the way you've got it built. You've got it covered. It's not too high, it's not too low. The feed can stay dry. We just had a kind of toe choking rain here that I didn't expect, and well, let's go check the feed and see how dry it is.
Yeah, let's go see it.
Keeping feed dry is, with pellets especially, because they swell. They're compressed product. They're made with steam. You certainly haven't had a problem with the deer eating it, and one of the things that we talk about is texture. Deer are really picky about the texture of the feed they're eating and pellet hardness. I get asked a lot about, you know, how weather resistant is it? Well, out here, we just had a really heavy rain. It'll be fine.
Right.
You put it on the ground, it's gonna soak up whatever moisture is around it. You wanna stay away from things that have a lot of paraffin in them, because it's basically just a candle, and going back to that texture, it doesn't do anything for the deer. It just makes you feel good that it didn't soak up water.
Right.
It's a very dense pellet. It smells like apple. We tested 104 apples, I think is the number to get the right one that deer wanted. You could see pock marks where the deer had been around last night. You just filled it. That's good.
They love it. Like you said too, I mean, these troughs right here we've used for several years now, and I just think, you know, the deer really react to them well. I mean, they use them a lot compared to anything else we use. So we've had a lot of success with these style these style troughs.
I can't ask a deer what it's thinking, but for some reason, if you can see through a feeder, deer seem to accept it a
That's
lot
right.
more.
That's
If you block off any part of their vision, they tend to circle it and be very cautious when they come in. So,
And I joke, but it's true. I think Georgia deer in particular, southeast deer, they're even more finicky than any other whitetail I've seen across the country when it comes to that. Just being able to see all the way around.
you guys are killers.
Speaking of killers, here's the big boss right here.
Y'all are coaching. Y'all kind of know deer don't have antlers this time of year. I'm just saying. But you can't eat the antlers, Bill. I like that rat.
Good. Oh yeah, just put it out last night.
It's raining in Columbus. Y'all get rain?
A little bit up here.
It rained on us.
I think it's supposed to be sunny the rest of the day though.
Bring the dirty truck in here. Blake, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Trying to behave. Good to see you.
It's been a couple of years. This is good.
It has been a little
Yeah.
while. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Long legs taking care of you there?
He is. He just parks my fat butt in the bad boy and drives it around, so that works.
It's different.
Filled this one up last night, so
They hit them pretty good.
looks
right
good.
Yeah, I was talking with Roger and Wes, and they're biologically, when you hit that point where there's equal daylight and dark, that's a biological trigger for the deer. Their metabolism starts to kick up. And a lot of people don't think that southern deer go through a winter feed deficit, but they do, because you still don't have the sun. They've gone through their growth cycle, made their seed, whatever, and they go through a winter dormancy where all the nutrients go down into the roots. They'll still eat the plants. Obviously, your food plots are doing pretty well. You got some kind of cereal grain, I think, here is what it looks like. But that you still have a winter stress that people don't think of like they do where I'm from, where we just had our second snowstorm in a week and got another one coming. And so it's important this time of year. People always ask me why it's so important this time of year. It's one of the most important. You got buck recovery and you got does that biological trigger is starting their third trimester of gestation. So you're growing your fawns and antler genesis is about to start. So if you can condition their rumen with a good protein pellet that helps them build a rumen mat and optimizes their digestive tract, they can take everything else that they have and use it more efficiently. So they start earlier, they finish better. It's pretty simple, really.
Yeah.
So, so much of the industry has fed around the hunting season, and it's built around antlers, and good antlers come from good health more than anything. Good nutrition. We always talk about age, genetics, nutrition. We can't really control age. We absolutely can't predict genetics, but nutrition, we can kind of help them. One of the biggest barriers we see is cost. What does it cost to do this? I think in our relationship, we've been talking a lot about how does the average guy implement a protein program with a good, efficient protein so that he can get the most benefit for whatever his property is. It may only be 80 acres, 10 acres, whatever it is. And that's why I'm excited to be down here to let you show everybody how you've been doing it for 2 years now.
Yeah. I think what's neat for us too, our neighbors, especially at the other farm, they're all on protein as well. So all three of us just combined, our land just got doubled and tripled in size. So what's really neat about Rocky Branch, we got neighbors doing the same thing. So it just expands all the deer, and if they get off our property, they're getting fed on theirs. So it just makes it happy. Now on this farm right here, we're probably the lone wolf, which is not a bad thing because all the deer are coming in, obviously this and our food plots, and they complement each other. Using the protein, food plots, natural vegetation, and we do a lot, from the standpoint of planting and putting different food sources in, a variety, and of course with that, in here we feed monster meal probably 8-9 months out of the year.
Yeah, almost year round.
The one thing that we want to key in as a brand is that this is supplemental. Don't ever think that this is the only thing that you need to do. It really would be detrimental to the deer. We never want to create dependent deer at any level.
Yeah.
If you don't have the habitat to support deer just to put food there, you're still not doing the deer any justice.
Right.
So, but as a supplemental program, from, like I said, from 10 acres to however big you want to get, you can use the product in different ways.
Right.
And, you know, you guys obviously have one of the best showcasing places for diversity and habitat management. But what that allows us to do is talk about how, in the grand scheme of things, when everything's clicking, this is what you create. It's just the scalability.
That's right.
And southeastern deer in particular, southeastern hunters are really keyed in on the fact that your deer are kind of a lot different than other things.
Yeah, it is true.
Is it? And I don't know why. I mean,
Yeah.
biologically there should be no difference, but there is. I mean, I've hunted deer in Alabama, and they definitely act different. Is it long hunting seasons or just
A
the
lot
culture
of
in
it,
general?
when they released deer way back when, I can't give you the years, but no, we got a Wisconsin strain of deer, you know, here at the farm throughout Georgia. When they released deer in Alabama, got a different strain of deer from different parts of the country. And so basically what happened is, you know, our rut comes in different than Alabama's. And you would think being right here, you know, just across from us, the ruts would be similar. The latter part of October, 1st of November, their rut's not till December and January. Our deer starting to shed, you know, in 1st of January. So just in Texas the same way, just a different strain of deer, you know, in Texas.
Yep.
So the Southeast, it'd be neat to kind of find out the southeastern states, you know, what strain of deer and when they were released. But we definitely have Wisconsin, you know, here, and it does. Our deer rut more like Wisconsin, you know, Kansas, you know, 1st of November, where you get Mississippi, December, January.
Yeah.
Louisiana, December, January rut. Alabama, December, January, but yet our deer, November 1.
It's
basically.
surprising here, 20 or 30% of the bucks already have shed by the end of December, 1st of January.
Yeah.
Don't know why that is.
Well, it's just a strain of deer, and it's not such a stress level. A lot of people say, you know, it might be stress level. My deal is just genetics of our deer.
Yeah.
You know, because Wisconsin, Kansas, you know, on the same rut pattern that we are, 1st of November, they're dropping horns. You know, I hunted Kansas. I was going back December 26th, and the deer I was hunting that 200-inch barbed wire, he'd already shed December 26th in Kansas.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
So
that's
just
crazy.
Outside of biology, injury, illness, environmental stress is what we always talk about.
Yep.
But we're starting to see some patterns develop with the angle of the sun, and what I never thought about is the way daylight expands. It expands faster up north than it does here, like because you have longer
days.
daylight times, and that seems to have some effect on the way deer behave. And then with everything that we're doing deer management wise, I caution people all the time, don't look for a single point source and focus on it. Now if it's a primary, you can do that, but primaries are age, genetics, nutrition. They're not you know, protein or mineral or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
good stuff.
it does take it. I mean, I know we got some other places and other food plots we want to see, but that is a very much a good complement of native browse food plots, how that all works and meshes together, because it takes all of them. And we, you know, we trap. I got in part of y'all's conversation a second ago, but you know, we trap obviously more or less for turkeys, but you know, we were right at 40 coyotes this year off the properties, you know, for us, that bobcats, you know, coons the same way. Obviously those are a lot of predators toward turkeys, but it also helps out deer too, you know, knocking the predator stuff down. Yeah, so it's just a hand-in-hand management practice.
It's even if a coyote doesn't kill a fawn, if he stresses the mother that reacts to the mother. So you don't have to be good at saving the fawns, you know, but intuitively as humans we want to look at it as the reason the fawn's killed is because it's in a coyote's mouth. But injury, illness, environmental stress, those are important to your deer herd, and if they're being stressed in that fawning period, nutritionally or pressure-wise or predation.
Yeah, it's true. I've seen it 100 times sitting on a food plot, especially, you know, hunting, and you got deer out there and a coyote comes through, everybody's on alert. And that's a little bit of a stress factor you talk about. You know, kind of what we touched on a little bit at the feeder a minute ago, just the combination of having everything, you know, having good protein when the deer obviously need it coming off of winter time, and you know, you got fawn drop soon to happen, you know, with those, you know, being pregnant and making that herd healthier. And the same thing with bucks, you know, run down from all winter. They're looking for a food source. So for us, you know, the supplemental feeding is a must, you know, in everything that we do. And then, you know, I still go back to this, a combination of browse, native, you know, browse, obviously the food plots, all the supplemental stuff that we do for as the feed, but obviously food plots go with it too. So, you know, we plant 5 or 6 different things with chicory, clover, turnips, radishes, everything in between to get our deer through the winter. And then obviously when it rolls into the feeders in protein for its monster meals, it gives a help a lot. You can see the weight of the deer, improve, mass on the antlers improve. So it takes everything.
Yeah, I think our deer too, just the last 3 or 4 years, it's been some of our best deer seasons the last several years. And then our deer have just looked really healthy. And I'm not saying Monster Meal has been everything, but you got to have all the right ingredients. And Monster Meal is just one of those tools I feel like has really helped our overall deer herd and health.
And
Yeah,
I'll say it,
yeah.
in that there's no one single factor that is going to build great habitat or great deer. And I sell Monster Meal. I have a reason to sell Monster Meal.
Yeah.
But really, for us, this relationship is great because it shows how you can plug it in where you need it. Because I think a lot of people have a barrier in their mind. Roger and I were talking about it financially. How am I going to invest in feeding my deer?
Right.
Because they believe that's all they're going to do. And that's not good for the deer. It's not good for your pocketbook. And it's really, you don't need to do it. So this is a unique opportunity to explain exactly how a person can benefit their deer, why they're going to benefit their deer, how they're going to benefit their deer, and a manageable way to do it. So that's why, when we first started talking about this and we talked about slow rolling it, it's been, part of it was COVID and everything else, but this is unique in that relationships usually start and you want to get going. We haven't had that ability, but now we can kind of talk about back history, and that's really important to us because if it only worked for 6 months and didn't work, you wouldn't continue it.
That's right.
And,
Well, along that point right there, and I'm not being rude to you guys, just pulling up photos on the phone, look at the bucks at Monster Mills, that's from this past year. And I don't know, Daniel, if you can see that, but just that's in the fall of the year.
Yeah.
And I got example after example, photos of the deer coming.
Well, now
up.
we have years worth of
saying-
history and evidence.
Ooh, why didn't you let me hunt that deer?
That deer disappeared.
They don't let me hunt. My kids keep me away from all this. And I tell you, this farm right here now, what was really kind of neat, his brother and my 14-year-old son got the biggest deer off the farm this year. And I really do contribute a lot of it to everything that we're doing, obviously with Monster Mill.
The biggest deer that's ever come off this particular property
This farm was
this past year.
And I'll let you look at that one. Obviously, he's at a feeder like that one. It's right there. So and that's Georgia deer. Now that obviously people in the Midwest say, oh, whatever, but pretty good looking deer right there.
well, the first year we started working together, we hadn't even, I don't even think we had product down here hardly at all.
No.
But that was the first year that your years of management, because how many years have you been doing this?
Oh gosh, 15.
Okay, so for 15 years, it took you 15 years to get to the point where you killed that buck that you killed.
That's right.
Up on Rock Ranch. And that's the other thing I want to stress to everybody is there's no light switch here. It's not like just because you do this all of a sudden. It's a combination of age, genetics, habitat, nutrition.
It all works
You got to
together,
have
for
it
sure.
all.
I can't wait to show them. I don't know if y'all saw them, but the Colton, rack. We have this rack in there. We're gonna get it mounted. The mass on it, and this deer looks like a Midwest deer. The mass and everything. And obviously, I contribute a lot of that to the Monster Mill and the feeding program for a number of years. And this deer we've been following for the last 2 or 3 years, and you just see him get bigger and bigger, every year.
Right. The incremental gain. We talked about that recovery process.
Yeah.
If you start them earlier, they get better. Antlers are strictly a function of they're kind of the extra. If a deer is stressed, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We heard a lot of that last year with the drought. A lot of people were complaining that, hey, my antlers really suffered this year, 10, 15 inches. We've got friends like some of our Kansas guys that one's an outfitter and one's just a recreational land manager. They both were like, man, it made all the difference in the world because it carries through. And it's not that you're feeding Monster Meal protein pellets. It's that the protein pellets were available when the deer were stressed.
Right.
And that's, we want to shift that narrative to let's balance out what we're doing here so that you can get the most enjoyment out of what you're investing in.
That's right.
Well, that's a good point right there because we like any parts of the country, we get into a drought from time to time, and obviously our native habitat goes as rain goes. And same thing with food plots. We need rain on our food plots. We are fortunate to be able to irrigate 1 or 2 of our bigger food plots, but most of them we're dry land farmers basically. So we're dependent on the rainfall. So in my opinion, that's where Monster Meal serves as the main purpose in those times, that we can do supplemental feeding and get our deer through the year, because our food plots this year didn't green out till November. We just had a horrible September, October, before its rainfall. So that 60-day, which was critical for us in antler growth, I mean, the antlers already had grown, but just get the herd healthier, it was critical that we had Monster Meal.
Yeah, it carried them through.
We fed Monster Meal later into the year this year than we have in years past.
And that's really just a natural reaction.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I always ask people, was there anything really different about your property this year? Because last year is a statistical anomaly. This year, I mean, it's greener here than it normally is.
It is this time.
Hank was mentioning, he's like, we're never at this point. How's
Right.
that going to affect things? And I can guess we're actually going to see it, and it's going to be interesting to me to see the difference between, drought year last year. One interesting thing I told Hank is drought-stressed plants, because they're searching for water. They put all their nutrition into their root system. They develop a better root system. A lot of times the year after that, plots come in really strong. So that, God has a better plan than we do. All of these supplemental measures, just pay attention to what's going on, because we have a program, we have products that will work for you and scalable to whatever your deer need now. And what you're going to do is you're going to level out those bumps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal at the end of the day.
Do we want to run over to the 15-acre food plot?
Yeah, let's go over there.
Let's look at it. Just kind of look at the food plot. We got a feeder, over there as well.
Perfect.